Hi, Chris Popper here in Bangor, joined by Coach Mark Shields down in Bar Harbor for our weekly MDI football coaches show brought to you by Allen Insurance. And Coach, a tough loss last Friday in at Camden Hills. MDI outgained Camden Hills by 100 yards in that first half, but had trouble punching the ball in, especially it was disappointing that last drive with seconds left that you weren't able to score.
Yeah, for sure, Chris. It's obviously, reflecting on the game, a few days after, and it seemed to be what, breaking it down was, you're right. We didn't finish a couple of drives, especially that first one at the end of the first half. I think we had the ball maybe inside the 5.
Yeah.
I think it was first down. Credit to Camden, they were able to stop us, but that really hurt going into halftime. Could have been up a full score, and then the second half was on me defensively. We did a poor job covering the flat. Camden, they wanted to run the ball. It seemed like their game plan coming out of the gates was to try to pound the ball, and we're pretty stout up front, and we did a nice job with that. But once they decided they were going to start throwing the ball, they started running their running backs out of the flat. I mean, out of the backfield to the flat, and we just had trouble covering that, and that really hurt us. We'd get them to third down, and then they'd hit that running back in the flat and move the chains. And they had a great drive coming out, in the second half, and so they played just much better in the second half and deserved to win the game.
Yeah, I mean in terms of rushing, I mean they were held below 75 yards the entire game, and the one thing I saw was a lot of penalties again. I mean there was a face mask, there was I mean there were a couple big ones, and it's like drive killers, or you don't need to add 15 yards or give somebody a first down when you're working so hard.
Yeah, absolutely right. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's hard to get 10 yards for an offense to move the chains and get a first down. And yeah, those penalties, they're just drive killers because, next thing you know, you're looking at whatever, 2nd and 20, and, it's just hard to make up for that. There aren't too many plays in the playbook that are going to get you those first downs in a couple of plays. So you're right. That's something that we need to play smarter, and hopefully we do Friday night against Waterville.
Speaking of Waterville, it's going to be a probably one of the best games on paper in the state. I mean, I was looking at Waterville. They've only allowed 16 points in 3 games, and that one came against Morse last week, where they lost 16-14. So both of you coming in 2-1 with a loss on Friday. This is an important game.
Oh, no doubt about it, Chris. I was looking at our conference the other day, and we have Camden Hills, they're 3-0, and then we have 4 teams that are 2-1 right now. So there's a lot of parity in our conference, and every game really does matter. And this is a big one because they're coming off a loss, we're coming off a loss. Nobody wants to have 2 losses in a row. But you're right, defensively, they are tough. I mean, they've been tough for the last couple of years, and I mean, they're shutting teams down this season. I mean, to shut out 2 teams in 8-man football, it's almost unheard of.
Right.
And then to hold Morse, even though they lost the game, to hold Morse to 16 is pretty impressive. So, yeah, offensively, we got to find a way to put some points on the board. We're going to be in trouble.
So what have you worked on? I mean, obviously, the mental aspect you've worked on this week in terms of trying to eliminate penalties. What have you worked on in the field?
Yeah, so I can speak defensively for sure. I mean, a big goal of mine was to get better covering the flat on pass, and we've worked real hard at that this week. it's hard because linebackers in 8-man football are asked to come up and stop the run, but also asked to drop to the flat, where that's not true in 11-man football. They're asked to do both, but they're not asked to go all the way to the flat to cover pass. They're asked to go what's called the hook curl zone, which is basically the tight end area if they were to run a seam pass with a tight end. So we've been working real hard with our linebackers with that. We've been working real hard with our defensive ends and linebackers I didn't feel as though we were reading very well. Our keys, our linebackers weren't reading the guards very well. And I coach the defensive ends, and I thought we didn't jam their ends very well. And that also helps, prevent the pass game. If you can jam that offensive end from getting off the line of scrimmage, that's going to help, slow them down and helps us get into coverage quicker. So defensively, that's what we've been working on. Offensively, just trying to get better at what we're doing. Up front, we got guys that they're developing and they've come a long way, and we're hoping that they get even better Friday night against Waterville. And then special teams, I thought overall our special teams played pretty well. I was pleased with that. Our kickoff team looked good, and kickoff return, Camden, they don't put anybody back for punt, so they were bringing the house on punt.
Right.
And we had our long snapper, Cal Hodgson, he had to go out for part of the game, and so we had to put another guy in there. Mason Rose, it seems like he's always the guy we have to stick in there. And Mason went in there, got the snap back to Spencer Lorendo, and we were able to get the punts off. So I was happy about that. So I thought we won on that, front. But yeah, we got to get better for sure. Each week we got to improve, and and we hope that we play well.
No takeaways on both sides, which is kind of unusual in high school football.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm pleased for our team that we didn't
turn
the ball over. Obviously defensively, it's going to help our team if we can get some takeaways. And part of that, I mean, we teach the kids we want to tackle first and then try to strip the ball second. I thought overall we tackled pretty well, but late in the game I was definitely yelling, try to strip the ball, and that's something that we definitely need to get better at. So.
What about what do you know about Waterville in terms of their offense, and what can we expect to see?
Yeah, they're pretty diverse. They will run a couple of sets where they're packed in pretty tight, and they're going to want to try to pound the ball, run the ball, but they have the athletes where they can also spread you out and throw the ball, and they run a couple different quarterbacks. I'm not sure their names, but number 7 and number 28. Number 7 was their starting quarterback last year. And number 28, he's a running back / quarterback. And they'll use both of them equally, pretty much about 50-50, or at least that's what we've seen. They have a lot of weapons on the outside, and then they got some pretty big boys up front. So they're a typical Waterville team. I mean, they're the 2-time defending Northern Maine champion in our league. And, for me, I just feel like until someone knocks them off in our conference, beats them at the end of the year, they're still the team to beat.
They've got a lot of numbers, if I've heard correctly, that on the roster, so they're pretty deep in terms of players to choose from.
Yeah, they do. They have decent depth, and they've shuffled some different guys in and out of different positions, and yeah, I mean, even their backups are real quality players, and they're very well coached. They're super classy down there. Their coaching staff does a great job, and their kids will come and they're going to play hard.
If I remember, there was one year where we were down there and there was senior day, and it seemed to go on for about 20 minutes because they had so many players that they were recognizing.
Yeah, that's right. That was back, I think that might have been the Frank Knight era when he was the head coach down there, 11-man football. And I mean, they take their time with senior night, I remember, because they talked about when the kid was playing Pop Warner football and, what they did for work. And it was really interesting. But our guys sat over there, we listened, and we were trying to stay, prepared for the
loose,
game.
Right?
It took about half an hour to get that. But
got to warm up again after it's all done.
Yeah.
The weather Friday night is supposed to be beautiful, and we want to again remind everybody that this game is at 7. So, whereas all the other home games are at 6, this year, this game is at 7. So if you come early, you can eat in the snack shack, but you're going to wait a little bit until you see some football.
Right. I'm not exactly sure why this one's at 7 yet. I mean, I know some of them are at 6 because of the travel time and maybe because
Yeah.
water travel. It's crazy how a short trip in our conference is 2 hours, but it is kind of a short trip. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was, punching in to go to Camden Hills, and it was an hour and a half, hour and 3/4 from Bangor, and it was like, holy, this is a hike and a half. Um, so the weather's supposed to be gorgeous. Hopefully, we'll have lots of fans in the stands, and it's going to be cool. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a hoodie or a sweatshirt for the last. It's actually the last day of fall on. Sorry, the last day of summer on Friday night. So what better place to be than Alumni Field rooting on the Trojans?
yeah, for sure. I mean, it really is starting to feel more like football weather. I know the guys appreciate it, that the heat that we had early on in the season, they weren't real fans of, and I understand why.
Right.
Um, but yeah, if we can get as many people out, you know, to MDI as possible, that would be wonderful. I know we've said this before, but the guys really do feel that energy, and I've been really pleased with our student, population. They've been coming out, they've been supporting us, and they've been supporting other teams. It's been great. Our student section, they're loud and they like to have fun, and so that's awesome. And but yeah, as many people can come out as possible. I think it'll be a great game to watch, and two really good football teams going head to head, and it'll be a big game.
It'll be great to hear the pep band too. I was impressed when I saw the pep band, what now 2 weeks ago. They were all in fluorescent shirts, so that way they were standing out, and that's a nice little addition there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they were able to play our last home game, and they'll be there tomorrow night versus Waterville, and that's big too, because that, just like you and I have said before, that just feels like high school athletics, and for us, it feels like a Friday night light atmosphere. So that's a lot of fun.
All right, Coach, anything you want to add before we sign off and see you on Friday night?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for their continued support of MDI football and MDI athletics, and we hope to see you out there tomorrow night against the Purple Panthers of Waterville.
All right. Again, remember the game starts at 7. We'll have that game for you on the online at WDEA Internet Radio. So the woeful Red Sox finish up the season, but then we'll be going on the air for the rest of the games. But WDEA online at WDEA.am on our free downloadable app and on any Alexa-enabled device. All right, Coach, thanks very much. Have a good day today, day tomorrow, and we'll see you Friday night in Bar Harbor.
Super. Thanks so much, Chris.